So hi gals and gays, I just finished Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I started it today and I finished it today. I have not been this gripped by a book in a long time. I listened to it on audiobook and it's absolutely incredible as an audiobook. You don't know, Bird Box is a psychological, kind of creepy thriller, and basically the world has been taken over by something. I don't know if taken over is the right word, but essentially when people go outside in this world, they have to be blindfolded because there's something out there that if you look at it, it drives you insane and leads people to commit suicide. And so you're following this woman and it basically goes back and forth between the present and the past, and it's just really gripping. I had to know what was going on. The writing just completely hooked me. Josh Malerman did a really great job of just making me see everything that was in front of me, yet also feeling blinded when the characters were blinded. I will say that the end kind of wrapped up pretty quickly, and for what it was kind of building towards and all the suspense that I was feeling throughout nearly the entirety of the novel, I don't know if it completely met that at the end. I felt like there was a little something more that I needed. I don't know what, but I think it could have been a little longer, and I think something else could have happened because what went down didn't entirely shock me, I guess, but I still really loved it. Gonna give it 4 stars. So we just got out of Captain Marvel. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. I cried multiple times. There was this one line, and I don't know if this would be considered a spoiler, but if you don't want to know anything, skip this part. But she was fighting and she says, "I've been fighting with one hand tied behind my back. What's gonna happen when I'm free?" And it just made me think of like how women have always been held back and what they could do if they were given the same opportunities that men have been given. Oh my god, I'm so emotional, and now I'm gonna drown myself in an Arby's mint shake. So at the movies, I got myself a medium cherry Coke, and when the guy hands me my drink, it's in this. He said, "Sorry for the weird cup." My camera refuses to focus on it, but as you see, it's a little toothless. I think that's what his name is. I've never actually seen this movie, Drag Me, from How to Train Your Dragon. And I was like, sir, you do not need to apologize for this cup. This is amazing. This made my day. So guess who did the dumbass thing again, where they didn't talk about the books they were reading as they were reading them. So, have some things to talk about. First, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year. Everyone and their mother has been hyping it up lately. I was like, I'm ready for this to be a full 5-star love of my life, and not quite. I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't talk about it while I was reading it, because I read it pretty much in like 2 sittings, and for the first half of the book I wasn't really loving it, and I was like so disappointed because everyone else loved it and I had really wanted to love it, but the second half got so much better. I should probably actually tell you what this is about. So Daisy Jones and the Six is about this girl, Daisy Jones, and this band, the Six. The Six are kind of on their rise to rock and roll fame. This is set, I think, during the 70s, maybe a little bit in the 60s, and basically it's the story of how this band and this girl, they like come together, their rise to fame, and then how it all comes crashing down. Before I like really knew what it's about, I just had like an idea of it. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like A Star Is Born, it's gonna be so good. It wasn't really like A Star Is Born. However, 2 of the main characters, I swear, could be like almost based on Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, just with how their relationship is. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything. I didn't like the first half just because I felt like it didn't really bring me into the story. I wanted to feel like I was in the 70s on this rock scene. I wanted the atmosphere to really grip me, and it just didn't at first. I think part of that is the writing style, because it's told in interview format, so it would just have like the person's name and then they would something, and then the next person's name and they would say something, all talking about obviously the same situation, but it's just not written in like a fluid novel style. And I'm like on the fence with it. On one hand, it was an interesting way to tell the story, and it was absolutely cool for the audiobook, which I highly recommend because it's full cast and narrated, and the actors do like such a good job of sounding like they're being interviewed. But for a book, I just don't know if I enjoy that style. It really depends on how it's done. I think it really works for film and like television, and I know this has been picked up for a miniseries, and I can't wait for that because I think it's gonna work so well. But the second half definitely really picked it up. It drew me in the ways that I wanted to be. I really love just the casual messages this has about life, just little lines here and there, and the different kind of relationships that it shows. I loved every single woman in this book. I thought they were so badass. They were all very different. You have Camila, who's this loving, trusting mother, Daisy, who's this absolute free spirit, Karen, who just loves her job and does not want anything to take away from that, and they all just stand their ground in their own ways, and I loved them all. The cast of characters as a whole are really just complex and interesting, and they all had their little purposes, and the way they all connected together, I think that really is shown in the second half of the book, which is what I liked more about it. So I would say that I recommend it because I did enjoy it in the end. I only gave it 4 stars, which is still a really good rating. It wasn't the love of my life like I wanted it to be, but it was still good, and I cannot wait to see its adaptation. I think it's gonna be so good. Moving on, next I read The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't want to give anything away about this book because it is a thriller, and it's one of those thrillers that if you talk about it too much and in a certain way, you'll give away some of the plot twists. So to be careful about that, I'm just going to read the description that it gives on Goodreads. When you read this book, you will make many assumptions. You will assume you are reading about a jealous ex-wife. You will assume she is obsessed with her replacement, a beautiful younger woman who is about to marry the man they both love. You will assume you know the anatomy of this tangled love triangle. Assume nothing. Twisted and deliciously chilling, Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen's The Wife Between Us exposes the secret complexities of an enviable marriage and the dangerous truths we ignore in the name of love. Read between the lines. For most of this book, I was pretty hooked. I wanted to know what happened. The first twist definitely shook me and made me think this book was just gonna be pretty good. But that happens, you know, pretty early on in the book. After that, I felt like it just really dragged. And then the last kind of twists and stuff that happened were surprising, I guess, but not in a way that I was impressed by it. I was gonna give this 3 stars originally because I was like, it's average, it's fine. But then when I was sitting there writing my Goodreads review, I was like, oh, this ending was just so disappointing and dull. So I ended up giving it 2 stars because, I don't know, I just wanted more from it. Like, I felt like I spent this time expecting something more and it just did not deliver. I don't even know what I was expecting, but from the like first twist, I was like, ooh, this is just gonna keep me guessing. This is gonna keep me on my toes. And I guess it did, but the way that it did it just, I don't know, it left me wishing that I hadn't wasted my time on it almost, like, which is harsh, but I was just really expecting something better and I didn't get it. So I finished that book last night and it's like 4 p.m. right now. Oh, basically 5. I haven't done any reading today because I've kind of been a little slumpy. Like, I kind of just like, I don't know. It's one of those days where I'm like, I'm bored, but I don't want to do anything about it. So I just end up scrolling social media again because I'm a dumbass. I think I have to allow myself to have days where like I don't read or I spend it on social media or whatever, because I tend to beat myself up with that, with my current situation of just not having anything to do and no structure. So I just gotta remind myself it's fine to just have a lazy Saturday. I just finished watching Whitney's latest vlog, which always brings me so much joy because I love her and I love the kittens. I think I might try to watch some more booktube because I really have not been watching them lately and it makes me feel like a shitty booktuber. Hopefully if I get done watching some videos and I'm like, meh, 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 hopefully I just like read or something and pick myself up. I don't know. We'll see. I'm hot. I need to get to my fan. That was a long clip. Bitch, who you telling? So I'm at Goodwill and babies, who did this to you? I wish I could take you home. Baby, who did this to you? I'm so sorry. Of course, I find this in hardcover after I bought it full price in paperback. So unfortunately, this isn't the part of the vlog where I hold up like a Hunger Games arc and be like, oh my god, I found it at Goodwill for $3. I just feel like I've seen so many people on like book Twitter and stuff finding super rare arcs at Goodwills, used bookstores, things like that, and I'm just like, God, I see what you've done for others and I would like you to do that for me. But I did find a book that I've been interested in for a while there, so I picked it up. Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. I know it's a thriller and I know they made it into a TV show on HBO and everyone says it's so good, but I have not watched it because I wanted to read the book first. A murder, a tragic accident, or just parents behaving badly. What's indisputable is that someone is dead. Madeline is a force to be reckoned with. She's funny, biting, and passionate. She remembers everything and forgives no one. Celeste is the kind of beautiful woman who makes the world stop and stare, but she is paying a price for the illusion of perfection. New to town, single mom Jane is so young that another mom mistakes her for a nanny. She comes with a mysterious past and a sadness beyond her years. Me too, bitch. These three women are at different crossroads. They will all wind up in the same shocking place. Big Little Lies is a brilliant take on ex-husbands and second wives, mothers and daughters, schoolyard scandal, and the dangerous little lies we tell ourselves just to survive. So there's your dramatic reading of the Big Little Lies summary. You're welcome. As you saw in the last clip, I took my dog to Pets, which is just like this big nature-y park. They even have a dog park. We didn't go to that area. We were just walking. It was all a great time until the end when we were going home. I had to throw something away and it was on like the other side of the parking lot. So I was like, come on, Bindi, let's go. And we ran to the trash can. It was great, you know, do a little running because I don't run otherwise. And then I was like, okay, Bindi, let's run back. And boy, did she run. Needless to say, she went really fast and I done took a tumble. And now I have this on my leg. I didn't understand why it was hurting so much. And then I got home and pulled up my leg. Then I got home and pulled up my pant leg and there was like blood and everything. So love that for me. So anyway, now I am going to make up for this horrible injury I have suffered with some delicious cousin subs for dinner. And I'm gonna watch the second to last episode of The Vampire Diaries. I'm so close to being done. I'm sad because I did really come to love this show, even though it is pissing me off a lot in this final season. But yeah, let's go lesbians, let's go. There's no lesbians in the show. Oh wait, there was, but they died. Don't remember when the last time I filmed a clip was. My reading has been kind of wishy-washy these past few days. I just haven't been reading that much, which is fine because I don't want to keep getting on myself for not reading, because then if I just feel bad for not reading, then I'll never like enjoy reading, if that makes sense. I don't know. In case I haven't said this already, I have started The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a book about two characters who do not like each other that end up going on this honeymoon. They are the siblings of the two people that actually got married, and they were the only two guests at the wedding that did not eat the seafood, which gave everyone else food poisoning. So to not waste this free, all expenses paid trip, these two go on it. They have to pretend to be married because you're not allowed to go on it if you're not like the people that actually want it. So they kind of have to pretend to be their brother and sister who love each other. And it's good so far. I really like what I've read. Don't know how far into it I am, maybe like 20% or so. I am reading this on ebook because I have an e-arc. I think that's probably part of the reason I've been a little sluggish with my reading as well, because let's be real, I just read faster when I read audiobooks. And speaking of, I did start an audiobook to have something to listen to when I don't feel like sitting down and physically reading. I got in Beneath the Sugar Sky by Sean McGuire in from my library. This is the third book in the Wayward Children series. Started that a couple days ago and today I just finished it. These are super short novellas that take place in this world where children find these magical doors to a world that fits them more so than the real world. And in the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, we meet this woman who has this sort of school for these children who end up coming back to the real world and can't find their way back to their homes, and they just don't fit in anymore. This was definitely my least favorite of this series so far. far. I felt that it was just kind of all over the place, and I think it was just trying to do too much with the time span that it has. In this one, this girl kind of shows up outside of the school and is looking for her mother. We get to see some of the characters that we met in the first book, as well as introduce a few new characters. And I think needing to introduce these new characters, get the world set up. I mean, I wouldn't say she doesn't set up her worlds in these. It's just such an illogical world. Not everything really makes sense in these books because there are literally worlds that are logical and worlds that are nonsensical. This one in particular, we do go to a world that is nonsensical. So the magic in the world like always kind of has me just kind of dangling a little as someone that does like to make sense of things. But it never really bothered me so much as it did in this one because like I said, I just think there was too much trying to happen in too little pages. I never really got invested in this one. I did like the fat rep with the character Cora to an extent. In the beginning, I was like nodding my head like, yes, I totally get this girl. I love this. However, it kind of became too much of her character because like I said, we don't have enough time to really get to know these new characters. So I feel like we just didn't know her that well. I wanted to know more about her than the fact that she was fat and having certain thoughts. So I think I'm gonna give this one 3 stars. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Do I look beautiful? I can barely breathe. This doesn't like fit me right. Sheet masks are pretty much the only mask I can do without my face completely screaming at me in all caps. So I am almost halfway through the Unhoneymooners and I am absolutely loving it. It's just, you know, your classic Christina Lauren. It's very quirky without being too over the top. The characters are funny and relatable and cute and the situations are just, ugh. I love it so far. I don't really feel like I know how to talk about romance a lot because it's like, what do I say besides like it's really cute until like I finish it and have a fully formed opinion. I really like the aspect of them being on this honeymoon and having to do the fake dating or fake marriage in this case. Oh, enemies to lovers and fake marriage in one book. Love this for me. I feel like I look like an alien from a Marvel movie. My face super red? I can't tell, you know? I think we survived this. Masks are like impossible for me with my neurogenic rosacea. I remember I don't think it was a clay mask, but it was one of those that you like leave on that's solid and it was just a big no. But sheet masks are nice because they're so watery and also I can put them in the freezer beforehand to make sure they're super cold. Am I a moisturized queen? Note to self, next time you do one of those face masks, make sure you wash the residue off, even though it says not to. Otherwise, you'll end up looking like this. And let me tell you folks, I don't just look red, I'm literally burning. So for anyone that was confused about what my neurogenic rosacea is like, I basically look how I feel. Not all the time, but most of the time. And right now, I look like Tony the Tomato and I'm on fire. Love that for me. I don't love it, I really don't. So I have had a very productive day today. I started my day out going on a pretty long walk with my mom. We went to Pets Again, which I think I featured a little bit in this vlog, but we didn't bring Bindi this time and let's just say she's kind of mad about it. And I came home and I applied on Rev to be a freelance captioner for them. Whitney does this, so she kind of like introduced me to it and I've been meaning to try to start doing that. So I was like, you know what? We're finally gonna get on it today. We're gonna have a little tiny bit of something, hopefully, if they accept me. And then I've spent my night finishing The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I freaking love this book. The writing was so good. It was the perfect amount of angst and humor and sexiness. It was just so good. I don't think I mentioned this previously, but Olive is Mexican American and she is often described as curvy. I don't exactly know what they mean like that, so take that as you will, but I enjoyed it not just being, you know, a typical skinny white girl. I thought the parts on the island with Olive and Ethan doing all these different activities together and having to pretend to be married and all that was just super cute and super fun. The last third, I would say, of the book though gets pretty heavy with family drama, and it kind of felt a little sudden, like it's mentioned a little bit while they're on the island, but not really discussed or anything. On one hand, I wish it had been more spread out, but on the other, you could see it as she was on this dream vacation in Maui and then it's back to the real world. I really loved Olive as a character. She grew so much, and I loved how in the end she started focusing on herself and realizing that she just needed to make choices for her. I thought her character growth was just really great, and she was really relatable, really funny. I just loved her. Ethan was a pretty solid love interest. There were times that I was like kind of swooning a little, but there is also something that happens in this book that kind of brings him down for me. I don't know if I personally would redeem him quite so easily as this book does. It's not like the worst thing that he could have done, but just the defense that he put up and the things that he and Olive fight about in the second half of this novel, I just felt a little uncomfortable with him. But overall, I did really enjoy this. I think I would give it like 4.5. It's really close to a 5. There's just a few little things that I was like, ooh, can I just like tweak? But this was excellent. If you enjoy romance novels, I highly recommend this. So I'm going to wrap up this vlog here because it's probably long at this point. I don't really know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!